But as you know, in America, there's so many kinds of people shared on their own culture and lifestyles. Japanese comedy, especially, has seen on TV, has no political satire. So I think satire is just like a knife. If they're like a divided world and culture, we need knife to heal and to make some joke about it. But in Japan, if we try to stab, it doesn't work. We comedians should punch and kill. Stand-up comedy is really important to give opportunity to think about anything, if not only politics. So also it's gonna be the good tool for healing division.
What are some of the differences between comedy in Japan and comedy in America? You did talk about manzai already, but Osaka is famous for it. But could you cover sort of what the differences are, basically?
Okay, so it's my understanding.
Okay.
As long as I know, so Japanese comedy always talk about our daily lives. For example, I went to 7-Eleven yesterday and blah, blah, blah happened. And, my husband is blah, blah, blah. Because we Japanese people kind of share the same lifestyle based on the same culture, I guess. So that's why our main topic is daily lives, and it can be the material to talk about. But as you know, in America, there's so many kinds of people shared on their own culture and lifestyle. So that's why they have so many genres and topics to talk about. So, for example, like even politics, and religion, even science, and the drug and sex, everything.
Right.
So I think that's one of the biggest difference between Japanese and American comedy. And people say that the Japanese comedy, especially, has seen on TV, has no political satire or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's true too. And no satire, because I think satire is just like a knife.
Sure.
You can see the word in kanji, fushi.
Fushi, yes.
Yeah, it's just like knife, right? But yeah, I think if they're like a divided world and culture, like in terms of, for example, race, like a white, black, Asian, Hispanic, we need knife to heal and to make some joke about it. But in Japan, I mean, it's more like Mura culture, Mura society.
Like a
village.
So
we don't even need knife. If we try to stab, it doesn't work. So that's why satire has not been big since 1970s, I guess.
It was big in the 70s and now it's not.
Actually, yeah, before like manzai boom in 1970s, satire and the political jokes were huge. And that kind of jokes and culture became like a mainstream in 50s, I guess.
And we've both used the word manzai a few times here. For my audience who doesn't know or isn't familiar with it, could you explain the basics of manzai? You're from Osaka and you're in comedy, so you'd be perfect to explain it. Yeah.
So I guess you can imagine Abbott and Costello style stand-up.
That's a good analogy, yeah.
Right there, like a straight man and a fool man. Then when fool man make a mistake, straight man correct the mistake, and people laugh together.
Right.
So that's basically manzai style, yeah.
There's a lot of puns involved as well, wordplay.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. So that's one of the main, topics they talk about. But also they speak like a really deep stuff based on our daily lives. And manzai culture has been really, really big. And there is a biggest Japanese comedy contest called M1 Grand Prix.
Yes.
That was really, that's really intense.
Sure. That's the form or style of comedy. Would you say, or what would you say, are the differences with audience members between Japan and the US and reactions?
Wow, that's completely different.
How so?
Because it when I went to America for the first time and got up on stage, I thought audience and performers like face each other. It's not only like physically, but also like mentally too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for example, like you know, we can understand that from the comedy term too. So
Mm-hmm.
for example, in Japan, the funniest part of the joke is called ochi. It's
Ochi.
like I don't know how to explain ochi. Yeah,
Ochi. I guess you could just
yeah, it's
call
just
it
like
the,
a down. Yeah, it's the
yes, it's
jumping or jumping down or something like that in
right,
Japanese.
right, right.
But in English, it's a punch, right?
Sure.
Punch.
Punch line. Yes, yes,
Yeah, punch line. Then
yes.
and also, for example, in
That's
Japanese,
interesting. That's an interesting
making
observation.
people laugh,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And making people laugh in Japanese is ukeru,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like a really passive,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Ukeru.
Possess.
Yes, yes, yes.
But in English, kill and destroy.
Right. Kill and destroy. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So we comedians should punch and kill. That's our job. So when I came to America, I got surprised.
Fantastic.
Wow, that's really harsh.
Sure.
So in Japan, all I had to do was like I don't know, like get something from audience and you know, with like a jump with jokes like jumping from like something. Yeah.
That's a very interesting observation. Ukeru is a passive word. It means passively to accept
Yeah.
or to have done to you.
Yeah.
And ochi, yes, you take it away from the climax of the joke, and that's the part that's funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad I asked that question. Um, why is, we talked about, the knife, fushi, the knife.
Hmm.
Why is satire and irony, I guess criticism or caricature, why are these things not, or why is it rare in Japan? It could be
Hmm.
also an effective tool.
Yeah. There are a lot of reasons, I guess. Yeah, I've been thinking since I was in college. Yeah, but it's same as, for example, like play.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's connected with our history, politics too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain in English, but in America, they're like it's certain way that there are two parties, right? Like Republican and Democrat, right?
Yes.
But in Japan, always LDP was the main party.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's just like I don't know. Always the politics related entertainment were regarded as like a left wing stuff, like a resistance stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So some people kind of stay away from that.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons, I guess. And also in terms of comedy, especially my parents' generation didn't want to talk about politics in public. That's a part of Japanese culture, I guess. But I'm afraid if our generation don't have any thoughts right now,
Mm-hmm.
probably my parents had their thoughts, but they didn't want to talk about it in public. But what if our generation have no thoughts right now?
They don't think about
Actually,
things.
yeah, actually, that's gonna be really dangerous in the future in Japan.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why I think stand-up comedy is really important to give opportunity to think about anything, if not only politics. So also,
Right.
it's gonna be the good tool for healing division.
There's a lot of work to do to get people to think about these things because Japan is not as I don't think, anyways, I've lived here for a long time. I don't think Japan is as, what's the word, homogenous.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't think it's as homogenous as it used to be.
Hmm.
So how can you pry open the opportunity to use comedy here? Because I
Yeah.
agree with you. I don't think the younger people that I see actually think about their future or think about their country.
Yeah. Actually, we talked about manzai before,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Then so in manzai, so there's a straight guy and a fool guy said, and
yes,
straight guy's job is to correct mistake of fool guy
yes.
with a same perspective of audience member in the theater,
I
right?
see. Yes, yes.
So that guy has the same perspective as all audience member in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as you said, it's a time of diversity.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that role will never work in the future
I
because
see.
it's almost impossible to share the same exact perspective as all of audience member as a one person, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why I think manzai will be like just 1 month style,
Right.
like stand up,
Like stand up.
solo style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not. I'm not sure if it's ideal or not, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, even in Japan, we need a comedy, which comedians shared our own perspective to the audience, and the audience can laugh at people whose opinion is different from them.
I watch on television or whatever Japanese comedy, but it's a lot of it seems to me to be slapstick,
Okay.
and maybe that's just a personal choice or sorry, a personal taste. But
Mhm.
I don't really laugh very much. It's not a language
Uh-huh.
problem because I watch and I can see most of it is using the body anyways, right?
Mhm.
Right? They slap each other in the head and they make jokes and then they laugh
Yeah.
out loud and all that. Um, what, how, when people are used to that, how do you get people interested in the spoken form of comedy?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Actually, I traveled many countries,
Yes.
and people in the foreign country see Japanese comedy
Hmm.
as slapstick or animated.
Yes.
Then, actually, I don't agree with it sometimes.
Hmm.
There's some, animated and slapstick style of comedy, but we know how much our comedies like are deep. Like
Right.
we talk about deep stuff. So the interesting thing is, Japanese people
Hmm.
see American comedy as
Hmm.
very slapstick.
Really?
So when Japanese like scholar or Japanese commentator talk about American comedy, they're like, "Hey, American comedy is very very slapstick, and they always use facial expression. That's the American comedy."
Mm.
That's what they say. So I think my opinion is humor is really local, and they don't know the deep part of comedy of foreign country. So
Hmm.
they just get a surface of comedy. So I think that's fine. Humor is local, and it's kind of nonsense to compare Japanese comedy and American comedy, like which is funnier. So in Japan, we can enjoy Japanese local comedy, and in America, we can enjoy, American comedy.
Hmm.
That's why, as an international comedian, all I have to do is to have multiple channels, like African channel, a Europe channel, American channel, and Japanese channel in Japanese.
Mm.
That's what I should do.
I see. And that's how you'll be
Yeah.
bringing stand up to Japan in the future
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. If I bring English comedy like what I do in America to Japan,
Yes.
definitely Japanese people will never understand and they will never like it. So like I was on the Japanese medias, like a Japanese radio a
Mhm.
lot. And they asked me like, hey, could you tell me the difference between American comedy and Japanese comedy? Then I said American comedy is blah blah blah. Always some Japanese people made a comment on my timeline, like
Mm.
Facebook, Twitter, like, hey, I think American comedy is not funny.
Mm.
I don't think American comedy is funny. Japanese comedy is the best. I don't want to, argue. I don't want to fight against that. I don't want to fight that kind of conversation because that's true. For Japanese people, Japanese comedy can be the funniest.
Sure.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
How much of that is dependent on language?
I guess 75%.
Mm-hmm. Which is a
And
big thing.
because, for example, like if I were a native speaker, for example, I studied in international school in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
If I never lived in the United States, I got up on stage in America, I kind of bomb for sure.
Really?
If my English is perfect.
Hmm.
So, but as you know, my English is horrible,
No,
but
it's
I can
not.
get up on stage and can make people laugh
Yes.
because I know the kind of American culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's why language is 60 to 75%, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Then the rest of them are like a street smartness.
Street smart, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. For more insights on Japan from people who know Japan, be sure to subscribe to the RONJIRU Japan YouTube channel right now. Just click the subscribe button below this video and the notification bell so you'll always know when we post something new. From RONJIRU Japan in Tokyo, I've been JT. See you in the next video, everyone. O genki de ne.